Let's talk about PUBG. So this leak, rumor, whatever, came out a couple days ago. Didn't know how much validity it was, and then PIGN tweeted out that he was like, I didn't want to comment or discuss the leak, but since it was talked about in a PUBG earnings call, so Krafton, the company that owns PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, PUBG, the studio rather, they released an earnings call for 2023-2024, and in an earnings call, the idea, the point of an earnings call is to show your shareholders how well you did last year and what your plans are going forward to improve the stock price and all that kind of stuff. The important ones that we need to know about are a couple of them. So here, number one is looking back on a 2022. So they talked about how they successfully put PUBG PC in a free-to-play position with user-friendly paid content development, questionable, attempted expansion into mobile, gained experience in production and global live operations, that's PUBG New State, launched a AAA console game targeting global markets and attempted to expand platforms, internalize production and publishing capabilities, Callisto Protocol, which is available on PC and all that, and then will leverage accumulated how-to minimize opportunity costs and execution risk for future market expansion. So you can see it's very, very well worded in a look at how we're improving monies and how we earned monies in the past, how we're reducing cost and risk, and how we're gaining more monies in the future. So just keep that in mind. A lot of the stuff in this earnings call is going to be referenced that way. This isn't like a developer, talking to the community of players kind of thing. It's not that kind of call. Now, they did talk about 2022 for PUBG. So free-to-play transition, sustainable service for 10 plus years was the goal with free-to-play transition. That's really key and important to remember. Global traffic inflow and expansion, more enjoyable play experience, improved monetization efficiency without compromising core gameplay, aka all the hideout stuff, the workshop, all the progressive skins. I mean, you guys know the drill there. Strengthen and enhance content experience and operations. I mean, it's very vague. PUBG IP in the future. So this is 2023, 2024, looking into the future. They're talking to the people who are financially supporting the franchise. Strengthen the foundation laid by free-to-play transition, improvement in and out of game contents. That's like in game as you're playing, out of game is all the menu stuff, all these store items, all that's out of game. Continuous growth in traffic and revenue. Enter long-term global service stage. Strive to become a quote-unquote lifelong game that continues to grow and be loved by fans. Can I actually zoom in a little bit? I probably should have, sorry. Need a little bit here for y'all. Deliver new and fresh experiences for both returning and new generational users. Strengthen anti-cheat to increase user trust and focused on satisfaction. Then if we go down, okay, so this is the first one. Pipeline. What is in PUBG's pipeline? Number one, there's six projects, first of all. Number one, Project Black Budget. This is the first time I'm hearing about this project. Project Black Budget is Krafton'S attempt at blending PUBG gameplay and in-game experience with extraction shooters. That's in a nutshell what it is. Think of PUBG version of Tarkov, PUBG version of DMZ from Call of Duty. So an extraction looter shooter. Very, very similar, ironically, to what Dr. Disrespect is doing with their 12 AM studios, Dead Drop. They're making a looter extraction shooter. They have the next Subnautica, so that Krafton bought the company who made Subnautica, so they absorbed them and they're going to be doing Subnautica sequel. Project Impact, I forget, that's like a mobile game, I think. I think Windless is also a mobile game or an MMO of some sort. Project GoldRush is actually targeted towards North America player base and to try and capture the Fortnite audience. So it's an open world like PvPvE that's supposed to be like kind of geared towards the Fortnite audience. So Project Black Budget is the one that you and I believe are going to be the most interested in. Project Introduction. So Project Black Budget, challenging ourselves to popularize the extraction shooter genre based on our PUBG production and service experience. It's an ever-changing PvPvE open world and satisfying gunplay, that's very important, that deliver unpredictable and exciting experiences. They are considering releasing it on PC, console, and mobile, obviously PC being the primary. And then Subnautica GoldRush, targeting a Western audience. And then Project Windless, what is it? Game based on the original The Bird That Drinks Tears, some kind of like anime adaptation or something like that. So that's the super interesting stuff for us is Project Black Budget. Now that's interesting for two reasons. Number one, this is the first I'm ever hearing about them actually developing a new game that has PUBG mechanics, but is not PUBG 2.0. Number two, the reason why this is really, really important is because this pretty much confirms, like it all but confirms, there's no PUBG 2.0. Like they are not working on a sequel to PUBG. Instead, that's been scrapped, and the new efforts for PUBG are to roll up the features that they wanted to put in PUBG 2.0 and adapt them to PUBG 1.0, the game that we play today, and that, according to this earnings call, should continue to expect to play for the next 5 to 10 years, whatever their big plan is. So there's a bunch of different stuff in there. I'm not going to go through all that, but that's the big news. And Player IGN went into a little more detail. He said apparently one of the developers is Smokey or Powell. He was the lead animator on PUBG, and he contributed to the gunplay of the game. As far as he knows, PIGN thinks he's the creative director at Thunder Tier 1, their top-down kind of like PUBG spin-off thing, which is a cool game, but it's not PUBG or anything. And so with him being on board with this new game, that further concretes that it will look and feel like PUBG, but also add a lot of these extraction shooter elements from Tarkov or from DMZ. So I don't know. I'm still absorbing the information. I don't know exactly how I feel on it yet. I'll say that my knee-jerk reaction is twofold. Number one, I'm excited to hear that there's a game that'll be a little bit less hardcore than Tarkov, but still get me into that extraction looter shooter genre, because I do enjoy Tarkov and I enjoyed DMZ in Call of Duty, but I feel like for me, Tarkov was a little bit too much on the hyper realistic side of it, and then DMZ Warzone is a little bit too much on the arcade side of it. And so if I could get PUBG gameplay with something that has an always on type of feel where like every match you played mattered, everything that you got out of one match mattered for the next match kind of thing, that to me is very interesting. I like the idea of that. On the other hand, guys, and it really sucks to hear that like unofficially PUBG 2.0 is not happening, because I was holding out hope, I really was. I was holding out hope that, man, there's no way they just let PUBG essentially die in the North American gamer sphere, because it obviously is not that popular in North America. And I guess in parts of EU too, it's not that popular anymore. Games like Warzone have taken over for the popularity. Obviously, like in Asia, the region there, it's booming. It's absolutely booming. So it was kind of upsetting to hear that part of it, because man, I really wanted a PUBG 2. I just really did. I feel like that could still be the craziest thing to ever freaking happen. But also the analytical side of me kind of knew that wasn't going to happen, because why would they spend all the millions of dollars making a brand new engine or taking a Unreal 5 engine or whatever, and then basically starting from scratch with PUBG? Why would they do that when they already are making continuous money on PUBG 1, and they can just basically not keep the game afloat, but keep it updated, put some new fresh content in there for the hardcore players who love the game and are going to stick around no matter what, essentially. But not much can be done in terms of reigniting that match that PUBG had in 2017, 2018. You know what I'm saying? In terms of PUBG news, that's it. There's a couple of the articles that have been written, and they just basically reiterate the same thing. Krafton revealed that they're going to be developing a extraction shooter, similar to Tarkov or DMZ. It's a PvPvE kind of shooter, and it's titled Project Black Budget, which is just a title. That's not what the game's going to be called. That will 100% change. Oh, I guess the other thing I should say is its targeting release is 2024, 2025. And if we know anything about target dates, 2025 is probably the earliest we're going to see that game. No, we're not going to get a new engine, Sky. That's what we're being told here, is that that's not going to happen. They'll update the game. They will add new features, because like in the earnings call, they do specifically say here, PUBG IP in the future, deliver new and fresh experiences for both return and new generation users. So they are committed to adding new things to the game, just like they've been doing over the past year or two, like with Destin, always on parachutes, the new weapons, the new vehicles, the parachute redeploy towers, like all the features, you know, the EMT gear, all the tactical gear, all the stuff they've been adding. That is new fresh features in the game. It makes you or allows you to play the game differently than you could a couple years ago. That still is going to hold true. They'll still continue those things, but it's not going to be like wipe the slate clean, let's start over from a brand new engine and boom, go there. Now the new game coming out, Project Black Budget, that likely will be on a new engine, which is also very, very promising, because like I said, if it's basically PUBG on a new engine but more in depth, meaning not just a battle royale, it's got persistent match to match stakes. That could be really, really awesome, man. Like I could totally envision a Tarkov version of PUBG on a new engine that could dominate the charts. It really could. It really could. I know extraction shooters are like a slow burn right now. It's not everyone's cup of tea. And I mean, it never will be everyone's cup of tea, of course. But I think as people begin to get burnout on battle royales, extraction shooters definitely fit the bill in terms of replacement for BRs, because they're still BR-esque in terms of, you know, there's a set number of players that are in the map at any given time. It's essentially, you know, the last couple to get out win. You know, you can get out early, but you don't get as much loot and stuff. So there's elements of that. The PvE, you know, so there's AI in the game. That's what's in every other battle royale and every other extraction shooter. So all that makes sense. So building that esports arena for PUBG as well in the next year. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not, yeah, this is not to say PUBG is going anywhere. Obviously, they're committed for another 10 years, what their goal is. But PUBG esports, they just had the big announcement of the GPT teams, the global partnership teams. So they have a lot of money behind PUBG, and definitely PUBG esports. Yeah, like one of my problems with games like DayZ and Tarkov is that you really have to grind them to get the most out of them. That is one of the beauties about PUBG, is that, you know, you can just hop in and boom, like you're one of 100 players. Now go try to win the game. If you don't, boom, you get a new lobby. You only get to play 2 games today, no problem. You come back tomorrow, you're at the exact same spot you were yesterday, and so is everybody else. You don't feel like you're left behind. But a game like Tarkov, it does kind of feel like that, because if you don't play the game for a week, guess what? Everybody else that has been playing for a week has all of the better loot, all of the better armor, all of the better ammo. Like, you know, there's a lot of that you feel like FOMO of. And then once you get, it's almost like a brand new TV show comes out and it's a badass show. You know, you want to watch it, but you don't get to watch it for 6 months. And the hype dies down. Everyone already watched it, binged it, talked about it. And now like 4 months after all that happened, you're like, I finally have time to start the show, but I kind of don't feel like it anymore. Like there's nothing new to experience that everyone else already has an experience. There is a bit of that going on with extraction shooters. Extraction shooters will never match up to BRs. Tarkov is, I get it, Mike. I get it. I don't think so though. Like I get why somebody would say that, but I also think people that say that haven't played it, because if you play it, you can play it snooze fest mode. Like Tarkov, you can play it where you literally just pull up your little extraction menu, you see where you got to exit, you go to one building, you loot a couple of computers, you go outside the bush for 10 minutes, and then you creep around the entire edge of the map, hoping never to run into anybody, and then escape with your, 2 CPUs. That could be a snooze fest for you, but if that's not your play style, you have to play the game differently. Because if you play Tarkov where you spawn and boom, you're going to where you know players are going to be at, where the high tier loot items are, that shit gets intense. Like I've had a lot of fun engagements in PUBG over the years. I've had a lot of heart beating moments in PUBG over the years. A lot of top 10 situations where it's like, oh shit, how am I going to tackle this, But bro, let me tell you how gunfights, especially team fights in Tarkov are, because it is so hardcore. There's no UI. There's no like, this is my friendly. It's just like all comms and that's it. That shit gets intense. Anybody who says that's a snooze fest has not had those kind of engagements in Tarkov. Those are unmatched. Those are for sure unmatched. But the same thing can be said about PUBG. If you play TPP PUBG and you just sit behind a rock until the circle moves, then you go to your next rock until the circle moves, and you go to your next rock, people can say that's a snooze fest too. It depends on how you play it.